Acoustic or electric? Which one should you start with? I chose the wrong one and I almost quit after a week, so I want to help you avoid that. Today they're going head to head in 7 different categories to settle this and save you from making the wrong choice. After teaching hundreds of beginners over the last 24 years, I've seen what actually works, and by the end of this video, you'll know which one is right for you. So let's do a quick and dirty comparison. What about the physical differences? The body of an acoustic is a little big and bulky, and the body of an electric is a little smaller and more comfy. Basically feels like you're holding a pillow. The neck of an electric is also a little smaller and easier to get your hands around, so I'm gonna give this round to electric. Another important thing to consider is what style of music you listen to and what you might like to play. So if you're into folk, bluegrass, singer-songwriter type stuff, you're probably gonna want an acoustic. But if you like death metal, rock, or ambient and experimental music, which I particularly like, you'll probably be better off with an electric. So for this round, I'm gonna give them a tie. What about portability? How easy are these to lug around? Well, after carrying an amp and a giant pedal board around for years, I can tell you firsthand that that gets pretty old after a while. But to be fair, you could use a multi-effects unit, and they've gotten really good these days. But it's hard to beat just throwing your acoustic in a case and being ready to go. So I'm gonna have to give this round to acoustic. Okay, what about price? That seems like something important we should talk about. You could just buy the guitar, but they also sell starter kits, and that usually comes with a case, guitar pickups, a tuner, etc. And you can usually find a pretty decent starter guitar or kit brand new for around the $200 to $300 range. But since you're most likely going to want to use an amp or a multi-effects unit to plug your electric into, that's gonna add a little bit of cost. So I'm gonna have to give this round to acoustic. Okay, but which one is the easiest to play? Well, I should first mention that this is gonna heavily depend on the setup of your guitar, because sometimes cheaper guitars can come out of the box with a pretty crappy setup. Like if the action is too high, the action is just how high the strings are off the neck. It's gonna be really hard to play, which might cause you to get frustrated and quit. But if you take it to a good guitar repair guy, and I've seen mine work miracles with some pretty crappy guitars, you should be able to get it playing pretty good. But of course, that's gonna add a little bit of cost. So ideally, you wanna go play on one first to see how it plays and make sure that the action's not too high. But assuming that they both have great setups, acoustic is a little bigger and the strings are a lot thicker and harder to press down compared to the electric, which is a little smaller and has much lighter strings, which are way easier to press down. So for this round, I'm gonna give it hands down to electric. Now, what if you have a wife and kids or roommates or live in an apartment and you need to be quiet? Obviously, in that situation, you can't play with a cranked amp, so an acoustic would be quieter here, but sometimes amps have a headphone jack, or if you're using a multi-effects unit, you could plug headphones into that, and you could still be pretty quiet on an acoustic. But if you play like me and like to bang away on that thing, it still might be a little loud depending on your situation. So these two are pretty close, but I'm gonna have to give this round to electric, because if you're using headphones, it's gonna be super quiet. Now, before we get to my opinion, which might surprise you a little bit, let's take a look at which one is easier to set up and get started right away. With an electric, you need a guitar cable and then an amp to plug that into, and then you need to learn about how to get good tones from your amp, and you might even go down the never-ending rabbit hole of chasing all kinds of gear and effects pedals. But with an acoustic, you just take it out of the case and you're ready to go. So this round goes to acoustic. So we have a tie.
Well, that was anticlimactic.
So let me tell you what I think you should start with. Most people say what my dad told me when I was getting started.
Trey, you need to start on an acoustic because it builds your finger strength, and then when you switch to an electric, it'll feel really easy to play.
And while I do agree with that, I started on an acoustic and I hated it. It lasted about a week. I was so bored. I just wanted to rock out and play grunge songs, and it wasn't giving me the sound I wanted, so I wasn't really motivated to practice. But when I picked up an electric for the first time, it was magic. It felt like me, and I knew in that exact moment that this is what I wanted to do with my life, and I became instantly obsessed. So here's my opinion. Eventually, it'd be nice to own both, because it's just like having different tools in your tool belt, but you probably need one to start with. So if you don't really care either way, I say start on an acoustic. But keep your music style preferences in mind and think about which one you would be more excited to play, because if you're way more excited to play an electric, then play electric. After that short initial first attempt on acoustic, I started playing electric and I turned out just fine. I eventually got into acoustic a little later and I fell in love with that too. But I think what really matters is picking something that's going to get you excited and motivate you to practice, because that is the most important thing. Just picking it up and playing and doing that every day. So don't pick what you should play, pick what you can't wait to play. But even if you pick the perfect guitar, there's still 12 things that could ruin your playing in the first month. So if you want to make sure you avoid those, click on this video right here.